Hey Beau, this is Keaton Everett with ABC, going over your pitching video from camp. We're going to go through and talk about your motion and your mechanics and kind of go over, frame by frame, step by step, kind of the couple of the spots that we like to look at in your mechanics, and we'll kind of break it down and make sure that we're seeing, balance, we're looking at posture, we're kind of looking at how you're using your lower half, and then, most importantly, that we're at a spot where we're able to repeat our delivery, but also, making sure that we're staying nice and healthy and doing all that we can to really get ourselves in a good spot to, continue and progress throughout the year. So anyways, we'll get back here to start and go over everything. So let me get forward here. All right. So initially, right off the bat, all right, what I was kind of talking about balance, let's try to find a spot where you kind of stop moving here. So it looks like, you're kind of starting right here. Okay, so what I kind of talked about balance. All right. What we kind of talk about balance is, an even distribution of weight. We got our weight over our back foot, but we want to have our shoulders square too. So balanced is sort of in relation to that flat ground. So if you're kind of leaning forward, you can kind of see how you're kind of leaning forward with that neck. You kind of have a little bit of lean. So that's not really a good balanced position. If you kind of think, if you're on a balance beam, what's your body kind of doing, and it's going to be a lot harder if you kind of got your head leaning forward, to just make sure that you're starting off squared shoulders, head nice and neutral. All right, that's more of a posture. Kind of posture and balance work hand in hand, but just making sure that we're initially starting off. All right, because ideally we'd want to see your head, your weight over that back foot, and we're not going to see any movement backwards throughout the start of your motion here. All right, so as you start, you can see how your head kind of comes back there, so we just kind of want to start off initially back there. All right, the next thing too, kind of that balanced posture, is we've got to make sure that we're staying in our back leg and not trying to get too much from it. And what I mean by that is when we get back up here, kind of want to mark your head height here. Kind of want to mark your head and where your sort of the front side of your body is there. So as we start taking forward, you can see that as you come down, you really get really low, and you really don't get that body out of that box till about right here. All right. So basically, all this is doing is that you're just kind of trying to you're just getting a little bit too much back in here, and trying to get a little bit too much, out in front with this sort of part of your body, as opposed to isolating this lower half. That's where you're going to get your power. That's where you're going to get your velocity, is from that lower half. All right, so what we want to try to see is back at this point here at your foot strike, or at your leg lift. All right, looks like the height of it's right about here. This is good closed off position here. All right, make sure that you watch your hands. Try not to let them bounce up like they do. All right, you can kind of see you come set initially down here. Try to keep your hands down here. Don't let them bounce up, because it kind of overcompensates. You kind of bounce up and you kind of want to drive back down. So try to get them here. So at this point, your hands are still right at this position. And then what we want to get, instead of sort of a down with our knee, down with our weight, is we want our hips to initially start going forward. All right, so right at here, you got a little weight on that inside part of that knee. Hips are going forward instead of down. All right, so now at this position here, we're kind of on the ball of our foot, and we might be out, somewhere out here a little bit, where that front foot still hasn't come out in front, right about right here. Does that kind of make sense? Because we don't want this foot, you can see how your foot's out in front of your hips, because we want our hips to be out in front of our foot, in front of our body, as long as we can, to get everything rolling. And as you get older, get stronger, it gets a little bit easier. But try to get that initial hips going. All right, you can see this foot's really getting out in front, and your body really hasn't gone a whole lot of distance from that rubber. All right, so we just want to get that body going. We want to get that body going in a spot where we're maintaining this neutral posture. All right, we don't want to get going and start leaning out forward, but we just got to get going. You're just staying too far over this backside, not getting enough momentum going. So then you can see, because you're staying back and because everything kind of pops out in here, it's out so early that it's just going to pop open early. All right, everything's going to kind of pull open. So as you see at your foot strike, once this front foot hits the ground, all right, you can see how you're really wide open. All right, if we were to draw a straight line from that back foot to the catcher, you know, you're seeing you're stepping way far outside, which loses a lot of velocity. Set yourself up for a little bit more injury as you get older because it puts more strain on that elbow and that shoulder. So just try to make sure you draw that line from that back foot to that catcher, and you're trying to land somewhere around on that line to get yourself in a little bit better spot. Because through this release point, you know, we want to try to get a little bit more, you know, ideally we'd be a little bit farther down right about here. So then through that release, you know, and then we're going to see this glove out of this front foot. So we're going to see right here, and you want to try to get that glove to stay on that front foot. So as you rotate through your release point, you can see how that glove kind of peeks back, and now we can't see that glove, and you can kind of see the angle of the ball. I'm going to mark your kind of your elbow ball path here. All right, you can kind of see that path there that it takes. It's kind of going down, then kind of going up, kind of getting everything pushed here, instead of kind of going down with that angle, going downhill. You kind of getting everything, pushing it uphill, and then that release, and you can see when you release that ball, all right, your body stays still. All right, this body's right here, and this arm goes, and your whole back side of your arm is taking the weight distribution. All right, your back arm is decelerating the entire load of your body, and this is going to cause you some arm troubles as you get older, because you want to try to see you use more of that upper body, use this you know, your back, your core, your legs, and so through that release, you know, you're going to want to try to see that head get out over that front foot a little bit more, using that back, kicking that leg up behind, just using more body. You know, the more we can kind of use our body, you know, the easier it is going to be on everything, the more power we're going to generate. And again, it's tough when you're young. It's something that gets easier as you get a little bit stronger. But again, just work on trying to stay a little bit closed, draw that line down that mound, you know, and then just get yourself in that position to, you know, use that lower half. Just hips are, you know, is just the big thing for you, using that body, and you're going to be good to go. So anyways, thanks for making it out to camp. Hopefully you had a great time, and hopefully we'll see you again with ABC.